Hey guys, Josh from SoccerReviewsForYou.com, bringing you my review plus on-feet video of the limited edition Puma Menotti Star. So as you guys can see, it does come in a Puma Football Classics box. It's a drawer style box when you pull it open. On the inside, they do include a string bag to go along with the shoes themselves. The string bag is black in color with black strings. It features the Puma Football Classics logo in sparkly silver right there in the middle. And on the reverse side, you're going to find a sparkly silver Puma logo right there at the bottom. Other than that, all you're going to find inside the box, as you guys can see, are the shoes themselves. So I'll get these guys out of the box really quickly, and we'll take a closer look at this limited edition, kind of retro style release from Puma, the Menotti Star. So this is a shoe that was limited to 511 pairs worldwide. They came out a few weeks ago, so this video is going up a little bit late. I apologize for that, but actually they are still available as limited as they are for about $175 to $200 depending on where you get them. If you're interested in a pair, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. Like I said, there will be buy it now links there, along with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these up below their normal retail price, which I believe was well above $200. But like I said, they haven't been selling all that well, and there's only 511 pairs in the entire world. So if you want some, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. In today's video, we're going to be going over all of the details, talking about this style of shoe, because this is one of the more old school shoes that we've seen all year long, which is really, really interesting. It's quite a pretty kind of cool throwback type release that I think is worth talking about in detail in today's video. We're going to take a look at the weight of the shoe, as well as take a look at how these things fit and feel on feet. So if you are interested in learning more, please stick around, watch the entire video, and with that being said, let's get right into the review. To start things off, let's take a closer look at the old school aesthetics of this shoe, as well as talk about why they exist in the first place. Now, the inspiration for this release is one man, a man named Luis Menotti, who was the coach slash manager for the 1978 Argentinian World Cup winning squad. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you guys, up until the release of this shoe, I've never heard this person's name before. I really wasn't aware of him. 1978 is well before my time, well before the time of most people watching this video as well. So I don't expect too many people to be familiar with this guy's name, but that's kind of the backstory. It was limited to 511 pairs, and it's essentially a recreation of a very old style Puma shoe with some modern elements, more so in the types of materials in the sole plate that are a much more lightweight plastic than you probably would have had back in the 1970s. But nonetheless, it's a very cool release with a lot of old school touches that we just don't see anymore. If you're looking to stand out, while this isn't a super modern fancy design, because it's so old school, it really is going to stand out like a sore thumb, which is kind of cool in itself. As far as the styling of the shoe is concerned, I'm not sure if this is an exact remake of an older style Puma shoe. It looks like it very well could be, but again, I think there are some modern touches, so it's not an exact remake based on differences in materials, and I'm sure some stitching differences as well. But the quality of the shoe is top notch. It's all kangaroo leather, the entire upper, which is really, really nice, including the tongue. Obviously, they've gone with a very bright, vibrant color in this metallic gold that looks pretty good, actually. It's a little bit loud, and I guess I think most people who would be interested in this type of shoe would much prefer something in straight up white or straight up black, but they went with metallic gold here just to have something a little more flashy, which at the end of the day isn't necessarily a bad thing. You have this bright, shiny metallic silver in the Puma form stripe on both sides of the shoe that continues into the Puma logo here right on the back of the heel. You can see that you have the Puma Menotti Star branding right there in kind of like an etched out pattern right there on the lateral side, which is kind of a cool little detail. The laces run right through the middle of the shoe, but you can see it's got kind of an old school shape to it, and that the lace runs really, really deep. So the gap between the last lace hole and the actual tip of the toe is very small, something we really don't see anymore. Obviously, people are going to compare this to something like an Adidas Copa Mundial, which is a really old school shoe, but in comparison to this, I just think that this looks a lot older. And is definitely a style of shoe or a shape or a silhouette that we don't really see all that often. There are brands out there kind of dedicated to more old school shoes, but even those brands aren't necessarily making anything with this particular shape. The laces themselves are really cool in that they have this kind of loose woven pattern, and they're completely flat. So it's a style of lace we really don't see anymore. They're fairly wide, and again, they just give this shoe a very old school vibe, especially given their off-white color. You have this really cool old looking Puma kind of patch right here stitched on the top of the tongue. It doesn't have a fold over flap, but I'm not sure that the fold over flap was in play at this point in time, or at least in the 1978 kind of time frame. As far as the insole is concerned, it's non-removable, but it's kind of cool. It's glued in. It's a kind of brown synthetic leather material that does look like actual leather, at least from a distance. When you touch it, it clearly isn't. With the Puma logo kind of stamped in metallic gold right there on the heel. So that's a cool little detail. The actual insole has really nice stitching there. Wish it was removable, but it isn't. And then moving on to the bottom, you have kind of that classic Puma sole plate. Again, the plastic I think is a little bit more high quality and a little bit lighter than what you would find on a shoe, again, going back to the 1970s. And then the studs themselves, as well as the Puma form stripe branding in the middle, is kind of like an off-white color. Almost looks like ivory, which is kind of cool. Then you have gold rivets in the heel, 1 to be exact, and then 3 gold rivets right there at the tip of the toe. So very, very cool construction, very, very cool aesthetics. And again, if you want that old school vibe, there isn't much else out there that's going to do it quite as well as this limited edition Puma Menotti Star. As far as performance is concerned, a lot of people will look at a shoe like this, and even a shoe like the Adidas Copa Mundial, and automatically assume that due to its lack of modern innovation, that it isn't up to the same performance standards as a modern soccer cleat. And to a certain extent, that is true. A modern soccer cleat will fit and feel a lot different than something like this. With that being said, fit and feel are really the key characteristics that you look for in any soccer shoe. I've said this many times on my channel before, but I'll say it one more time. It doesn't just apply to this shoe, it applies to any soccer cleat, period. No specific shoe will put you at a performance advantage. No shoe will enhance attributes. Shoes cannot tell which position you're playing out there on the field. Really, what you should be looking for in a pair of soccer cleats is the type of fit and feel that you like personally. So if you want something thin, lightweight, and very tight fitting, something like a Mercurial, something like an X15.1, something like the Evo Speed line from Puma is worth a look. If you want something that's soft leather, more traditional feel, not overly tight on your foot, not overly restrictive, and kind of a no-nonsense style shoe, then maybe something like this, or a Copa Mundial, or a Nike Tiempo Legend is worth a look. Again, soccer shoes are all about preference. No specific model is going to put you at a performance advantage. So, in terms of what this shoe has on offer, obviously it's going to be very traditional, a no-nonsense type feel. So you have all over kangaroo leather, and the quality of the leather is absolutely fantastic, on par with any top-end kangaroo leather model currently available, even that of the Copa Mundial. It just feels really, really good. As far as the rest of the shoe is concerned and how that leather is actually going to impact the responsiveness, this is a shoe that's going to feel not necessarily sloppy, but it's not going to have the same responsive sensation as a thin synthetic shoe would with a tighter fit, especially once broken in. The leather is going to stretch pretty much all over the shoe, and really the only thing you have preventing the stretch is the Puma form stripe on either side, acting as an extra layer of material that is actually made from synthetic on this particular shoe. And these 2 little strips you find on both the lateral and medial side, just kind of an extra layer of reinforcement material, kind of there to stabilize the midfoot area and prevent that from overstretching as well. So just like any soft leather shoe, it's really, really important that these things fit you snug from right out of the box, because if they're too big, even just by a little bit, it's going to really allow that shoe to stretch more than it probably should, which might make them overstretch, which can lead to somewhat of a sloppy fit. But as long as they fit you nice and snug out of the box, that's something that you shouldn't run into as far as issues go, at least down the line. Laces run through the middle, as you guys can see. Like I mentioned earlier, the lacing system is really deep, which is great in terms of allowing you to get that nice tight fit. But because it's so close to the forefoot area, you're going to feel a lot of overlapping materials and extra bulk than you would in something like a Nike Tiempo Legend, for example, where the laces are pushed up basically to right about here. So from here down, you have no overlapping materials. It's very clean as far as touch is concerned. But again, that's kind of something that you take on with this style of a shoe. It's a traditional design. Again, it's going to feel a little bit different once you get used to it. It's not something that's going to be an issue, but definitely going to feel a little bit different than a more modern leather shoe would in terms of how the actual setup of the shoe is kind of laid out, if that makes any sense. It does have a standard cut in the heel, internal plastic heel counter. The liner on the inside is a smooth synthetic leather with fairly minimal padding, if I'm completely honest, but again, discomfort shouldn't be too much of an issue here. The insole is glued in, like I mentioned, single layer of foam, synthetic leather liner on top, and honestly, it feels pretty good, nothing too fancy, but it should get the job done. And then moving on to the sole plate and stud pattern, this is basically Puma's variation of the Copa Mundial sole plate and stud pattern. We've seen this from pretty much every single brand. It's kind of that tried and tested old school stud pattern. And it gets the job done. What else can I say about it? It's a fairly thick plastic material. It's kind of stiff from right out of the box, but once you get used to it and once they break in a little bit more, it definitely does soften up and become more flexible. And then of course you get this all conical firm ground stud pattern that isn't overly aggressive in terms of bite when pushing off, but gets the job done, offers plenty of maneuverability, and feels nice and stable and well balanced under your foot as well. So again, this is one of those shoes that certainly is not going to appeal to everybody as far as shoes that they actually want to wear in a game. But if you're somebody that really likes that kind of old school traditional type fit and feel, this is one of those shoes that is definitely worth a look, especially if you want something that nobody else has, considering they only made 511 pairs. As far as weight is concerned, I thought we'd compare the Menotti Star to a classic pair of Adidas Copa Mundials, just to see if there's any significant weight difference between the two. So keep in mind, these are both in brand new condition and both technically the same size in terms of how they fit. These are a 9 US, these are an 8 US, but again, the actual size of the shoe is pretty much exactly the same. So we'll start off with the Copas, throw them on the scale, and you can see that they weigh in at 10.4 ounces, the equivalent of 294 grams. So they're not lightweight, they're not unbearably heavy either, but they do weigh a lot more than most high-end modern soccer cleats. So we're gonna change the scale back to ounces, pull these off, and we'll throw on the Puma Menotti Star, and you can see that they weigh in at 9.45 ounces, the equivalent of 268 grams. So you're talking about a weight difference of pretty much 1 ounce exactly, just a little bit less than that, which isn't overly significant, although at 9.45 ounces, these are on par with some current high-end soccer shoes, especially when you're talking about shoes that have a full kangaroo leather upper. So when you're talking about weight at least, these certainly aren't overly outclassed or overly kind of behind a modern soccer shoe, and a lot of that has to do with, like I said, the more modern plastics they're using in this particular sole plate than a sole plate you would have seen back in 1978. So again, if you want to buy a pair of these shoes to wear, just know that they aren't as heavy as a pair of Copas, and really, they're not that heavy at all. All right, so here is a look at the Menotti Stars on feet. On my left foot, I have the stock laces that come with the shoes, and on my right foot, I have a pair of metallic silver reflective SR4U replacement laces. If you're interested in a pair of replacement laces for yourself, the website to go to is www.sr4ulaces.com. You find a direct link to that website down below in the description of this video. Now, in terms of how these things fit and feel on feet, as you would expect, they're pretty comfortable from right out of the box. The leather is nice and soft. They have a decent amount of width to them, so it certainly isn't squeezing your foot in any way. If I had one complaint, it's that the top lace hole doesn't go close enough to the top. It's a little bit low in my opinion, which makes the lockdown in the heel not as good as I would want it to be, but obviously this is how they used to make the shoe, or I think that's what they were going for, is kind of that old school vibe. So it definitely has that, and again, the heel lockdown is not a major issue. It's not slipping around. It just doesn't feel as secure as it could be if that top lace hole was a little bit higher, or if they just added another one. So overall, they fit really well from right out of the box. Like any soft, natural leather shoe, it's going to take some time to break in. The leather is going to soften up even more. And of course, the shoes are going to stretch to the shape of your foot as well, just becoming that much more comfortable. But again, as far as breaking the shoes in go, you shouldn't have too many issues whatsoever. Width-wise, these things are going to be suitable for, I would say, pretty much anybody. They have really good width to them from the midfoot all the way into the toe box area, especially considering the lacing system goes so deep that you can just expand a pretty fair amount. So again, these are going to fit just about everybody. And as far as sizing is concerned, again, it's really important that you buy these things nice and snug. I went with my usual size 9 US, and the fit is pretty good. They are a little bit snug at the toe, but that is kind of what you want in this style of a shoe, especially these more traditional kangaroo leather shoes, because like I said, the leather is so soft and the design is so straightforward, they're going to stretch a fair amount. So while they may feel a little bit too snug out of the box, after some break-in time, they're going to stretch and feel pretty much perfect. So again, if you are looking to order this shoe or any soft natural leather shoe, it's really important that they fit nice and snug from the get-go because you don't want them to overstretch. So if you're looking to pick these up, I would strongly recommend going true to size in order to achieve the best possible fit. All right, guys, that is it for my review of the Puma Menotti Star. Again, these things are limited to only 511 pairs worldwide, and there are still pairs available. So if you are interested in them, first link down below, go ahead and check it out. It's going to take you to the review page on my website where you'll find high quality images of this exact pair that I took myself that'll give you a better idea as to how these actually do look in person, as well as buy it now links with exclusive SR4U coupon codes where you'll be able to pick these guys up for around $175 or so, well below the normal retail price. So again, if you're interested in a pair, first link in the description, go ahead and check it out. If you have any questions at all regarding this particular shoe, leave them down below in the comments and I definitely will get an answer out to you. If you enjoyed today's video, found it helpful and informative, be sure to support it with a like. Subscribe if you haven't already for daily videos on all the latest and greatest soccer gear. You can find all my social media information linked in the description as well. And other than that, guys, hope you enjoyed today's video, and as always, thanks for watching.